The third element of the MLA citation in the 8th edition is the container. And the container can be a little bit tricky because it's sometimes confused with either the title of the source, and it's also sometimes confused with the publisher. But the container is kind of its own entity. And the sooner you wrap your head around it and what it is, the easier citing sources will be. So a container can be a publication name or a website name. It could also be literally a container such as YouTube or a database. The container is always italicized, and there can be multiple containers. So in that case, you would cite elements 1 through 9 and then end with a period before adding additional elements 3 through 9. So usually the subsequent container is a database name and then followed by a URL, or YouTube followed by the URL. So we have a few examples. One is an article in a newspaper. So the Friedman article, The New Untouchables, is in the New York Times, and that is a classic container. Another one that will look familiar to many of you here at New Canaan High School is the Central Intelligence Agency's Ecuador article within the World Factbook, and that is a familiar container, and it is the container for that article. So we have some examples. The New York Times is a classic example, or any newspaper name, so the Washington Post or the Wall Street Journal, any of those would be fine. Those are always containers. In this instance, we are citing an article from a book called the Encyclopedia of Genocide and Crimes Against Humanities. And then we have that book is contained within a database, so we're also naming the database as a container. In this instance, we have UNICEF, which is the channel. That's the first container, and YouTube is the second container.